What's Clarky up to now? Well, he's checking his life jacket, making sure it is in full working order. And why? Well, I'm going to take a look at budget sailing, and if I'm wearing this, it will reduce the chance of me drowning should I fall off this said boat. Now, that may not be the case, because statistically, people who fall off boats, they tend to die of heart attacks, cold water shock, suddenly hyperventilating, and bits in here stop working. So, especially older people, which I may fall into that category. Also, statistically, should I be wearing a safety line, and I do have one to attach this and me to the boat, if you fall overboard with one of them and it's not quite the right length, it tends to flip you over and you get dragged face down, and then you swallow water, and then you die of secondary drowning, long before you've died of normal drowning. So, it's got to keep me safe, up to a point. Anyway, come along, we'll go take a look at this budget boating. All I've got to do is just finish packing these last few bits, get it all loaded in the car, and of course, as you know, I can't afford a boat, a proper boat that is. So again, we'll be going with gentleman farmer from Cheshire, James. Going to his house, meet up with him, and head out to the boat on Anglesey. Well, we're almost there. Now, I know I said we were going to meet James, gentleman farmer from Cheshire. I may have over-egged that description. Maybe I'm just trying to make out that I've got friends in the landed gentry. What we're talking here is more a bloke with a house, some fields at the back with a few cows. In fact, I reckon that if he has many more children, he'll have more children than he has cows.
In 300 yards, you will arrive at your destination.
Well, here we are, Menai Bridge on the Menai Straits, on the slipway. And James is busy ferrying all our gear in the dinghy to the yacht. Why is he doing that? Well, I don't want to die. And statistically, again statistics, the most likelihood of dying on a boat is often as not in one of those little dinghies heading out there, especially when you've had a drink. Now at the moment we haven't had a drink, but even so, I'm staying here to look after the car and letting him do the dangerous bit. So James has decided not to come back to the ramp for me. He's decided to park down there. Now, having looked down there, I've seen the size of his dinghy and the size of that big blue and white one, and I know which one I'd rather be on. Now while Captain James was away, I know I did say that I wasn't getting in that thing with him because I'd get wet. Unbeknown to me, he's buggered off to park the car and I've still got wet. It's not much fun this sailing.
Always an adventure with you. A wet bottom.
And finally we're off! Couple of drowned rats.
It looks a lot heavier down there.
Oh no! that we should maybe just go sailing in Greece?
Yes.
Yes. That's agreed. So here we are at Erin.
Erwin.
Also, let's get
Erwin.
this right, start light. Erwin, our home for the next week.
You got the painter.
Oh, he wants me to do something. I better put the camera down. So we're safely on board. I'm wet. James is probably about to get wet because behind this door, this bulkhead, is the toilet. Now, surprisingly, he's actually in there doing something, but he's not using it for what it's intended. He's bought these. These are plugs to plug in to your orifices, not them sort of orifices, the orifices on the boat when he opens the cocks if they happen to leak. So he's now rummaging about in there to see if the toilet works. So he's opened the sea cocks. Now if I see a tidal wave of water come running through that door any minute now, then he's going to desperately need one of these. I don't know which one. When he shouts pass me the... I won't know what to pass him.
My phone. Torch on it.
He wants the torch. He's going in deep. So what he's trying to ascertain is if I was to put a number 2 down there, would it disappear out into the Menai Straits? If it does, we're happy. All the people that were out swimming and on their paddle boards earlier, they may not be so happy. But anyway, hopefully we'll have this working and we'll all be able to relax knowing that the toilet is ready for when we need it. Beg your pardon. Well, there we are, day 2 of our little trip, and we'll just take a little look at what budget sailing is all about. Now, budget sailing is about having a small yacht that's not expensive, so it's got everything working that's important. The engine starts and the toilet works. That for me is all we need. We get a fantastic view in the morning. That's got to be worth something. Gazing out through the back of the boat, it just makes you want to get out there and do something. But not everything's perfect in this boat. So I assumed that when he called me along and said let's go sailing, I finally sorted the boat out, we'd be ready to go. So last night I said, right, I'm going to read my book. Where are the lights? Lights are not working. In fact, none of them are working in the whole boat. What am I going to do? Read until it gets dark was his idea. Okay, so we did that. Fortunately I got a head torch, so I was able to go a little bit longer. We've got equipment, but we don't necessarily know how it works. So we have a depth sounder. That tells us how deep the water is. But the alarm's going off all the time. So James said, you read the book and sort out what's wrong with the alarm. So I made an executive decision after 10 minutes of reading and 10 minutes of fiddling and pressing buttons. So we got some wire cutters and we cut the wire to the alarm. That's fixed that. The water pump, it doesn't work. I say water pump, it's a foot pedal. You've got to pump it and the water comes out into the sink. If you can find some space in the sink for all the wrangham he's left laid in there. But if the water pump doesn't work, then you ain't going to have no water. So we have no water, running water. We're using bottled water, which is an expensive way of going about washing up. So anyway, James has sorted that out. He's given me a rope with a bucket on the end to throw over the side to get some water out for doing the washing up. I was a bit concerned about this depth business. He said, don't worry about that. He said, we're going back to the 17th century. Oh, exciting. So he's given me one of these. It's a lead line. I hang it over the side, and when I get to the first knot, it's 1 metre deep. When I get to 2 knots, it's 2 metres deep. If I get to there, the 1 knot, we should be aground. Oh well, we'll see how that goes. It should be fun. He's bought a very expensive, well, not that expensive, but they are quite expensive, chart plotter. Now this thing will tell us everything. It's GPS, it'll tell us where we're going, what we're doing, where we are, oh, anything you want to know. Measure our track, just like your phones will. Those don't work though when you get too far away from land. The only problem is, he switched it on, but he ain't got a clue what it does or how it works. So he's gone off in his dinghy to find some gas. Oh, I should point out that we have no gas for the cooking or anything because it turns out the bottle's empty. So he's gone off in his little dinghy looking for a shop. And he's left me with this. Have any of you ever tried to read front to back a car manual? I've looked at about 5 pages so far. It's gobbledygook. And when he comes back, he says he wants that chart plotter working. I decided to leave that and just do a bit of filming. It's easier. It's what I know. So far we've got 1 or 2 things that aren't working but aren't essential. So we're going to set sail anyway, and I've no doubt that we'll find something else out new. You know, this won't work, that won't work, we've crashed onto rocks, please call the lifeboat, that type of thing. Well, we'll see how we go, and we'll speak to you later. You get the gas? Some. Ha! Where's he dug this thing up from?
Exactly.
The bottom of the ocean?
So I wasn't willing to sacrifice my bottle because I said, well, no, will anyone else take that? He says no, but he says if you fetch it back to me, I will do it. So that's why I've had to buy a new bottle.
I know I'm a bit rusty with some of my sailing stuff, but that's taking the pee.
Yeah.
My general advice is try not to hit that big black and white thing. The only problem with being out to sea is when you're trying to get dressed or change something, it can be a bit tricky. Nothing to hold on to. Oh. Right, stay put. I say, old boy, don't try to avoid those waves and try to get dressed down here. Good to go.
Come on, Alan!
Wow.
You just come through then.
Oh, I managed to grab the camera before we lost it.
Yeah, too much messing in a rough bit here. Yeah, don't take your jacket off before we go into open sea.
I was hot. There we are, end of a hard day at sea. And what do hearty seafarers need? Something to warm their stomachs up. Now, budget sailing again. What have we got? We haven't got best fillet steak here. No. Everything comes in cans. There's so many cans on this boat that the weight on that side of the boat, which would be the port side, the whole boat was leaning. So we had to move some stuff over to the other side to try and balance it up. Anyway, we've got a big choice. You can have chicken balti and Tilda rice. There is another choice, but we'll come to that tomorrow. So that's what we're having. Simple meal, 2 pans on 2 burners, dinner ready in 10 minutes. No. Found something else that doesn't work. 1 burner. Slightly not doing what it should do. I'm just waiting for something to go bang, which probably will after we've eaten this curry. Anyway, I'm doing the rice on here and I'm doing the curry on here. So I've got to wait for the rice to finish before I can do the curry. But not to worry, I'm sure this is going to be absolutely delicious and the skipper will enjoy it. We'll be back later to discuss the washing up. Over here I'll probably do. We're doing right, cooking on a budget. We're doing washing up on a budget now. We ain't going to waste any of that good water that we've got for drinking. And as the pump doesn't work, which I mentioned earlier, I'm going to call on my water supplier. It's a bit like walking around with one of them forked sticks and the water suddenly appears. James, can you fill the bucket please?
Can you get me a rope please?
I'm sure you can reach over there. A fine figure of a man like you. No, we are using the water that all the seagulls have been pooing in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Water, that's all we need.
I'll take my can, Stella.
So unfortunately, I can't use my normal hygienic method. I'm just going to have to make do with this. Would you believe he's making me sterilise my hands every time I come out the toilet? And I'm washing the pans in shitty old flipping bird poo water. Where's the logic in that? Keep the skipper happy, that's what I always say.